Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fireside Chat this evening, and a very special Fireside Chat. And we have mentioned that we're having a very special guest tonight, and maybe some of you have guessed, but I don't think a lot of you would have guessed that it would have been Pieter Pretorius. Hi, Pieter.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Nice to shake hands around the fire.
Yes.
And I must say, it's very, very nice to be back. Nice to see you and a whole bunch of new faces, and of course everyone that's with us tonight. For those of you that we know each other, awesome to be back here.
I think there have been not only us here, but there have been a lot of people out there hoping that you're going to pop in one of these days and grace us with your presence.
Quite the contrary. No, it was a nice surprise. I mean, as all of you down here know, it was sort of a very last-minute, quick surprise, and yeah. To use one of my favourite terms, I'm stoked to be here.
That's good.
It's really nice to be here.
That's great. You know, I picked Pieter up at the airport, or rather the airstrip at Arathusa today, and it was a really, really special thing to see Pieter getting out of that plane, and you were wearing stuff that you used to wear on drive. It's that classic Pieter look that was.
Yeah, well, we'll hopefully do some more of that tomorrow.
Yes.
It was actually a very special arrival because we flew into Skukuza. And then changed planes, and from there over here, as all of you that have been on drive know, it's quite open still at the moment. So looking at that sort of early golf course look now, so I'm very excited to be here at this time. But on the way over we saw 2 herds of buffalo from the air, obviously, and a couple of eddies and lots of single buffalo, quite a few giraffe. And then coming into Arathusa airstrip, as we were flying in, the pilot, sort of throttled up again and pulled up, and there were 4 rhinos literally that were running off the runway.
We did a round
and coming in we saw rhinos. So
I was on Philemon's cut line on my way to the airstrip, and I thought that it's possible that I'd missed the plane because I was about 10 minutes before the arrival time of the plane. The plane was a little bit early, and I was thinking, gosh, they're going to land, they're going to leave Pieter standing on this hot airstrip. There's not a tree in sight. Well, there's very little shade. But I saw the plane pulling up, and I thought, that's not the normal takeoff angle. So I had this funny feeling that coming over the little rise on the airstrip, and there was the plane still there. But it was great picking up. It was a hot day today. And you've just come in from London.
From not a hot place, yeah. I just spent a few days in London, which was great. Saw a very good friend of mine and his kids, and was at the South African Pavilion at the World Travel Mart, which was quite cool. And certainly different temperatures. I mean, London when I left it was overcast, drizzling, and a couple of actually thunder showers without the thunder part. The heavy showers, and then landing here, Johannesburg was pleasant this morning, but it was still early. And as Mark says, when he picked me up, it was well over 110 Fahrenheit. For those of you from the North Americas, close to 40 maybe. 30.
And it's an air-conditioned plane, isn't it?
Well, no. The one that we flew to Skukuza was what? That was the other one was. But from Skukuza, you literally just down. So it's just a little.
I didn't know they were still landing in Skukuza. I thought that airport was closed, which is the reason why they've opened up the airport in Hoedspruit, and that they've got planes flying into the Sabi Sand now. But in the old days, all guests used to fly into Skukuza. In fact, no planes used to land in the Sabi Sand, and all the rangers from all the lodges in the Sabi Sand used to drive down to Skukuza, and we'd all stand there with our signboards. But there's still any guys down there with their signboards?
There were a few. I mean, we were actually quite a few as were changing plane to plane. So it was more just, they offloaded all the luggage, and then some guys from there flew to certain lodges, and some went to the other plane. Okay. And there were a couple of guys picking up guests, but maybe 2-3 Land Rovers, so nothing too much.
Well, I think enough of the arrival. I think there are a lot of people out there that have missed you terribly for the last 8 months, and I think a lot of us, including me, we want to know what's been going on with Pieter Elishan in the last 8 months. I mean, we know, of course, you went back to Namibia, but could you fill us in on maybe what happened when you got back to Namibia?
It's so funny because when you say the last 8 months, I guess it is March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Going on 9 months now. It feels literally like a lifetime. I mean, we've changed so many things. We've changed everything, and lots of things that was going on here. And before I go on, I must say that I really did miss this. I missed this. I missed being
anybody who spent this amount of time here must miss it.
Yeah, I mean, I spent years here, but I've missed it. There's a little bit of electricity that comes with this that I've missed. I'll be honest. I've always liked a bit of adrenaline and that part. I've missed interactiveness. I've missed that sense of worldwide but closely knit community that Wild Earth and Safari Channel is. I missed obviously Karula. I'm hoping I hear there's some cats in the oven.
Oh wow!
Something like that. I'm sure we'll talk more about that.
I think we're going to leave that because I think the first thing is whether. You said 9 months. Is there anything in the oven there?
No, not yet. It's part of the sort of casual plan at the moment. But yeah, just my point is, I guess it just feels like it's been a long time. It doesn't feel like it's only been 2/3 of a year. We've moved to Namibia, so a different country. Changed what we do. We're running a lodge at the moment, which is it's family involvement. So it's a bit different from just running a lodge. It's my father's one of the two shareholders. Beautiful lodge, not quite the wildlife that we have here. Sorry, I must apologize. All this flying the last week has given me a little bit of a cold, so I might not talk too much tonight because otherwise tomorrow morning
I can do more of that.
Tomorrow morning I'm going to start and we think the sound will be down. It's my voice that's gone. But so nice lodge, but none of the big game. We get leopard tracks quite often, actually, even in camp, but we don't see them. They're not as beautiful and relaxed as here. And general game, lots of baboons and dik and eland and kudu and so on. But the lifestyle's amazing. For those of you that are friends on Facebook or have recently become friends on Facebook, or for those of you that have been friends for a long time, you've seen the pictures. We've got 2 dogs now, puppies still.
Jack Russells?
No. They proper like Leishan and I, proper African dogs.
Okay.
Not that we're dogs, but African. And yeah, I went looking for them for a long time. I remember even with you guys, I don't know if I ever spoke to you. I was speaking about dogs, and I've always liked the sort of the African mixed breed, and I've we went looking. I mean, the second one, Shay, we found after probably literally looking at. We went to some of the villages, if you want, in that part of Namibia, and we must have looked at 200 puppies.
Wow.
So that was quite a cool little search, and so that's fantastic. So we've started with that, and hopefully next year, or time comes, we'll have some other little ones running around. That's certainly part of the plan. Otherwise, it's just, I'm married, which is fantastic. I love that.
I'm sure everybody, there were a lot of congratulations and things on Facebook, and we all thought of you. Herman was lucky enough to get up to the wedding. And sadly, Herman's not here tonight. I know you would have liked to have ragged him a bit, and I think it would be nice to have had him around this weekend. But Herman is in Mozambique. He's been in Mozambique, when he'll be back later at the end of the weekend. Sadly, he's not around. I mean, it would be nice to have a little bit of the old crew around the fire.
Yeah, I must say it's a pity I'm going to miss him, and maybe I'll see him Sunday quickly. But yeah, the wedding, and Kay was there as well, which was brilliant, and JP was there from friends that I made directly here. Graham and Emily couldn't make it, unfortunately. They were having a baby of their own, literally about the same time.
That's right.
Who I've subsequently met two beautiful girls. So yeah, there's just a lot has happened. Country change, Namibia. I'm a big fan of it. I miss South Africa. I miss the low veld. Even though it is hot and we can complain about the sweat and everything, there's nothing that beats. I climbed out of an aeroplane today. You just get that
like walking
smell.
It's like opening an oven door after you got to roast in there for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's just one of those I'm home kind of smells. So I like that. And otherwise, lots happening. We've been a couple of trips to Damoland, so I've seen lots of desert elephant and spent
wonderful.
Some very, very cool time in some nice places. I did a shoot earlier this year with Annie Lebovich.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I couldn't talk about it for a while actually, which is why I didn't say anything. There was confidentiality clauses with it, but it was with Annie Lebovich, who's an amazing photographer. It's probably the biggest photographer of our time. And we shot it at Twala with Bono from U2.
That's incredible.
Which was very cool. I think the pictures are out now, so now I can talk about it. So that was a lot of fun. Saw some nice Kalahari stuff. Damoland, we've been to Kodam, where we had permission to go camp in the reserve. So camping around the waterholes with elephants around every night. So it's not that I haven't had my wildlife fixes, but certainly living in it. You were showing me earlier, is it this shirt, which is the one that Mishu had it
This is my Mishu shirt.
I miss that sort of,
You had Karula take your laundry off the line. I had Mishu. It's like generations going down in generations.
I'm a bit curious, so I know you said for later, but
well, I think let's get on to that.
I'm very obviously she's my favorite character.
We were driving in from the airport, and Pieter was asking one of the first things Pieter was asking me, so what's happening with Karula admission? And I said, I'm not telling you anything because we're leaving it for the fire, and it's because, well, you wouldn't be so surprised, and it's more fitting that you hear about these things. But I don't know where to begin. I mean, I think one of the most amazing things that I can tell you is that on the 1st of August, Tara woke up in the middle of the night. Now Tara, let me add, Tara is in Pieter English's old room, and I'm going to digress because I always do. I came in this evening, I'd been covering the camera and being up at the house, and I came in, and walking into camp, Pieter was sitting on his bed in his old room on his computer, and it was like this deja vu thing from the past, sitting in your room on the computer.
In the bush.
But Tara was in that room, and she woke up in the middle of the night, like Lishan did when the Sticks Pride were here. And she heard these noises outside the window, and she peered through the window, and Karula was there with Yambila Jordan. And they were mating outside your window.
Wow! That's insane, eh? That's not a bad thing to wake up to.
I don't know, maybe you could think that maybe she was bringing him along to sort of say, look, I'm doing it again.
No, that would be amazing. I mean, well, it's going to be amazing.
It is.
Have cubs again.
Yeah, that was 1st of August, and then we watched them for those 3 days. I think it was the 3rd of August we found them just below the dam wall at Gowrie, still mating. And we've calculated that it's round about now, in fact, that she's going to be
today.
Within this next week that she should be giving birth.
Within the day almost. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's going to pick up on your energy. We haven't seen them together much. The boys have been hanging around here a lot. They seem to. Induna has been around camp more than Meshu, I think, to a large extent. We came back from drive one day, and there's this knobthorn just next to the car park. There was an impala hanging in that knobthorn from young Induna. Now he started, once they started hunting themselves, he doesn't really, or rather in the early days, he didn't really have this taking the kill up the tree and securing it properly. He's learned how to secure it.
To fall out of the trees a bit.
That's right.
Because he was not quite as
because he would sort of drape it over a flat branch without any anchors, and then he'd feed on it, and the weight would be on the wrong side, and he'd bite through the skin, and the thing would fall.
Yeah.
So he's learned now to wedge it in a very tight fork, but unfortunately, it's not really a great fork for eating because there's nowhere for him to stand. So he takes it down during the day, and he feeds during the day. And we had a daker down in that dip on Central Road where Lishan and I were sprayed with the mud, and there was a little leadwood there, and he had a little daker up there, and he brought it down during the day to feed on it, and once night time came he took it back up again. And I think he's learnt that from Karula, that during the day when the PC aren't around, he feeds on it during the day. But the most amazing thing about Induna was just recently he had an impala kill close by, and shortly after the day after the impala kill, we found him on a young buffalo on impala, just off Impala, actually just off Sandy Patch. And the next day we found another leopard there. I have to say I'm still not convinced it was Meshu. And
was the consensus something else that hunted the buffalo?
It's very difficult to say. I had a look at it funny enough, when I was taking Paula to the airport, and I found where it had been killed and then dragged off under a tree. It was a pretty big calf for Induna to drag. What I couldn't get my head around is how the cow or how any of the buffalo that would have been with this calf allowed him to get to it, or that if the calf was crying, how they allowed him to continue. But if it had been another predator, they would have eaten it, or they would have eaten. I don't know. I didn't see it at first.
Those mysteries.
But it certainly fed him very well for a few days, and then we found this other leopard. It was too furry. I know there were a few of you out there, including Sharon, and Sharon is normally very spot on with her IDs, and Claire as well. But there were a couple of markings on the forehead, and there was a lot of fluff around the belly, and it was just so much smaller than Induna that I just didn't think it was Meshu. And now another thing is that I have to tell you very sad news, is that White Cloth was killed. I don't know if you heard about that.
I didn't actually. I mean, it's sad. Obviously, I mean, it's a leopard that I never got to know that well. I mean, most of us, we saw her occasionally. She was extremely old. I mean, she was up there with Safari. She was sort of towards the records of old leopards. So I guess, she did have a good life, and maybe it's better to go out sort of with your guns blazing than...
But she did have that cub that was about a month younger than the boys.
Okay, and was the cub still...
He's still fine, and he's been he hung around between around Cheetah Cutline, Gwaripan, Buffelshoek Dam area. He's very skittish. He always was.
Always a bit, even though she's as relaxed as, you sort of have to be worried not to drive over a tail kind of thing.
But he has appeared here at Gowrie Dam, and there was a time that there was a couple of times we've seen him in the same place as in Induna, and there was a time we saw him here at the dam, at the same time as Induna, and I was still thinking that it might have been him on this kill.